Okay, let's finally get back these challenge runs here. In the starting armory to quickly grab a lightning bolt. Starting armory mod is going to be very nice for this, because, you know, otherwise I have to go find these things manually. Also, sorry I haven't been updating the past couple days. Every single time my channel gets any sort of attention, my first inclination is to just quit updating for like a week. But anyway, lightning bolt. Lightning bolt's pretty simple. You just hold it out, charge it up, hold it out for long enough, turns yellow, you start to do critical hits, hold it out for even longer, you hurt yourself. It's honestly not very good. I think in the very first challenge run, at least the first commented challenge run, very first challenge run was, what, Firebrands? I called it kind of a boss killer weapon, the sort that you would want to bring in to do a huge amount of sustained damage to a single target, but God, honestly, at this point, I want to say even those type of weapons, like any sort of weapon that I used to consider that sort of thing, just not nearly as good. Closest thing to a decent weapon from one of those is probably the hunter's longbow or the sniper's bow or marksman's bow. I don't remember what they're calling it these days. And even that, the hand can block pretty easily. So, you know, your old school Valmont's whip, your lightning bolt here, everything like that is just, it's not as good anymore, which is really unfortunate because I do like the idea behind this. Especially because it is a survival scaling weapon, and you know how much I like survival scaling weapons. It's pretty much my go-to for builds these days. But hey, the fact that it's survival scaling means that I'm going to have more than enough health, hopefully, to deal with the castles. One of the major things that I've been running into with these runs is that if you're taking only a single weapon into the castle, you generally don't have enough health to be able to survive more than 1 or 2 hits. Cool. Sure, I'll take this instead. And that's an issue if you're using a not particularly good weapon like, say, a Spartan Sandal or something. But if I'm going full on survival, maybe it'll work a little bit better? I don't know. Aside from that, I guess I'm just gonna go the regular old route. There's nothing really thematically appropriate or great that I think that... Can I get a little bit of survival? Cool. That's actually a lot more survival than I expected. Yeah, there's nothing like thematically appropriate. I can't really think of any enemies that are this is very good against. Flying enemies, it's extremely poor because it's got the pretty sizable wind-up time to even start using it in the first place. No, there's nothing I can really think of here. It's a very basic but decent weapon. The only time I would say that it's really, really worth taking a lightning bolt is if you manage to get a legendary version of it. Legendary version is honestly kind of admits its faults and gives it a free plus 100% to damage. So not even like 100% damage dealt and taken, just 100% damage extra. So suddenly it becomes much better? I don't know, it's a little interesting in that way. Hey, I said that I had plenty of survival to be able to tank this sort of stuff, so I'm gonna go for it. I guess aside from that, other stuff that would be good, Tranquility would be pretty nice. You can hit things at a pretty good range. Much like using a... Gotcha. Oh, look at that dodge right there. That was amazing. But yeah, much like using a... Oh, so close. Electric Whip, you can hit enemies from... Cool. You can hit enemies from different levels so that you can, like, stand on top of a level and say, hit an enemy that's down here or something. So that's helpful. It can give you a couple extra survival stats in a pinch. Yeah, there's... It's just not my favorite sort of weapon. I think that, aside from maybe that free plus 100% damage, if you get something like 100% damage on a burning target, or extra damage on a poison target, couple synergies in there. Ice. Ice would be a really good one. Much like how it works with a lot of other survival... Come on. Much like how it works with a lot of other survival weaponry, if you can freeze an enemy, if you can trap him in a bear trap, which... almost accidentally took that. Have I seen that lore bit before? You trap him in a bear trap, which also stacks with survival. A lot of good options, but I don't know, man. I think you're probably better off using a lot of other weapons here. Especially because survival tends to have some of the best weapons. I guess I am actually starting to get some damage out of this. Survival has some of the best ranged weapons in the entire game between... Nerves of Steel is exceptionally good if you can hit the criticals consistently. I think that you can do a huge amount of damage to everything except for the final boss with a decent marksman's bow. Oh, what else? Explosive crossbow is amazing. It has a huge critical attack. It does AoE. And so it's like, why would you take this weirdo weapon where you can accidentally hurt yourself if you're not careful with it? Funny enough, that's actually the only way to get an extra count in death from suicide if you kill yourself with this weapon. So if you're looking to have at least one death doing everything, that's... Ooh. I have no idea why, but for some reason it attracts attacks like that. But I mean, hey, I think that's the only way that you can have it angle downwards if you want to do your best Palpatine impression. Unlimited power. Remember that also way back in the day. Yeah, this was the original... I can't remember if this was in the original run that I did, but you could hold down attack and be constantly hurt without dying if you got to the end of the game with a lightning bolt. It was extremely silly and stupid, but it was amusing nonetheless. Obviously, now that you don't have a character that you specifically talk to end the game, you don't really get that sort of... Hey, just give me extra health. You don't get that sort of silly shenanigans. Although, if I were to say... Come on. Come on. Is it still gonna work? No, it just... Maybe if I talk to someone like the Collector, I can get that little weird glitch to work again. No, it looks like it just straight up pauses the game. Very clever, Motion Twin. I know you watch my videos. Is that how you knew? Should have never told anyone. Always got to take out the fun glitches. But really, it was completely pointless because you died immediately after talking to the squid guy at the end of the game at that point anyway. Boy, oh boy, has this game really come a long way. I mean, that was back when you got hugely exponential damage by taking as much strength as possible. Strength was the only thing that increased the damage on stuff. There was only a single level of difficulty to do, so did every single one of those runs on 0 cell, definitely. Or, yeah, 0 cell difficulty. What a day. What a time that was, let me tell you. Nice. Oh, do I want to? Do I dare? Yes, I do. I do dare. Why not? I was just talking about how good this weapon is when you get 2 times damage. What could possibly go wrong? Let's just ask Bubsy here what you could possibly say about this. Well, the real thing is that I am building survival. By the end of this run, I am going to have a whole ton of health, hopefully. And the other thing, too, is that I have a heart. If I'm ever worried about dying, I will be revived at least once, so might as well do like the heart says and YOLO. Feel the bile welling up in the back of my throat just saying that. Oop, not supposed to be dive attacking. Come on. Gotta keep these runs pure. Pure, simple, nice. Simple and clean. It's the way that you make me feel. You know, funny enough, just shooting lightning constantly made a reference to The World Ends With You in the in the Homunculus run. Might as well do it here too. That was my favorite way to play The World Ends With You. Equip up the tap screen to fire lightning buttons, badges, whatever they were, and just pretty much destroyed my DS screen. Just wrecked it absolutely. It was a great time. Was it the best way to play? Absolutely not. But it was pretty amusing. You know, Force Lightning, despite like appearing what, once in, damn, even though again 2 times damage, I'm not taking that much here. But yeah, despite appearing what, once when the Emperor used it in one part of Star Wars, it's become a standard thing in that series since. And you think that with all the powers of the universe at your hands, you'd do something a little bit more impressive than just shoot lightning to attack your foes. You're like, I don't know, pick them up in the air and choke them, rather than shooting lightning that doesn't really seem to cause them all that much harm. Again, it's also been like, what, 20 years plus since I've seen any Star Wars movie? No, I haven't been keeping up on the more modern stuff, so who am I to talk? Yep, this is a secret thing. Found out in Corrupted Edition that there is actually something a little bit more to the invisibility platform, but I'm not entirely sure what it is. I've just been told there is. Definitely gonna have to check that one out again. I do like, I love me some, and I've always said that I love me some creative sort of usages of assets already existing in games, i.e. Mario hacks. So I can understand why some people were like, oh man, this looks like the hardest, most frustrating thing ever. I was having a lot of fun with it. Mashing hot dogs into doors. Oh, I think, can you? Oh, awesome dodge, pro dodge. No, you cannot hit them through that. Only a 300 damage from that. I don't have, like, damage reduction from my necklace, do I? No? Just an extra jump. I mean, this is only one cell, too. I cannot do multiple cell difficulty for these runs. All the original runs were done in, No, I'm gonna keep it. All the original cell difficulties were done in, zero cell mode, and a lot of the other difficulties, I did it at 2, and that was when scaling was also way different, and like health and everything. So 2 cell mode also had a completely different way of doling out health. Still not entirely sure how I want to... What? Gotcha. Still not entirely sure how I want to do a lot of these challenge runs. I was considering, like, maybe if I die at the castle or something, instead switching over to maybe like a 2 or 3 cell run. Also, look at this amazing damage, by the way. I don't even have too much to say on that, except for that was... Oh, it's an Aura of Laceration. I'd actually really like that. But, not today. Yeah, maybe switch on 2, 3 cell difficulty, do a showcase run instead, where I take like a full build, something that complements the items I'm using. Just because I think it's gonna be real difficult in the later parts. Or crank it down to 0 cell difficulty. Hey, if you got any sort of opinion, or if there's any particular run you want to see, I'm basically taking suggestions. This one was a suggestion. And I said, you know what? It's been quite a while since I have looked at the lightning bolt in any respect. And honestly, I'm gaining a little bit more respect for it over time here, but you know, Concierge is very slow moving. He's a huge target. He's the sort of character that is built for fighting with a lightning bolt. So I don't know if that necessarily means he's the best sort of test for this weapon. Let's say that. A Timekeeper is going to be significantly more difficult. Honestly, though, the hand might not be too bad at all. Then again, the hand might, you know, hit me 12 times before I'm even able to get my lightning bolt charged up, so that's another thing too. But if I can cycle him through his phases fast enough, you understand what I'm saying? You know, just an overwhelming show of force. You think back to the original days of Dead Cells again, the regular Dead Cells, except that wasn't the final release. That was no subtitle because there had been no updates to it yet. Yeah, that health also increased exponentially, so getting like 20,000, 30,000 health was not out of the question if you really tried to take health over and over. Of course, you didn't power up anything. Yeah, I mean, it was really easy to make a build back in the day. You know what you need to do? Strength. There, that's your build. Oh, come on. Get this rallied up. I mean, at least with these runs, it is also fairly obvious exactly... Oh, what the sort of build I'm going to be working with is. It's just going to be whatever this actually scales with. Then again, I don't know, because, like I said, survivability in the castle is a real issue, so might be worth it to kind of split up a little bit of what I'm looking at here. Split up some of the stats in later runs here rather than going for everything in one and then just getting one-shotted by every enemy that I come across later in the game. It's frustrating, but that's just like, that's how I like playing the game. That's how I can play the game in a lot of ways. But usually I also have at least some sort of item that gives me damage reduction to make sure that I'm not at least dying in one hit, you know, more like 2 hits. Oh, I should just start rushing through here. I don't think there's too much more I need to do. Also 6,900 health, nice. Also, seen the Aura of Laceration a lot around here. The original run I did for that one, that was before merchandise category was even a thing, so I pretty much had one shot, and I get the key first. Pretty much had one shot at that, and I bungled that run. Maybe it might be worth checking that one out next, because I never did a proper full run with it. Cool. And that's not what I meant to do, though. There's a scroll power up there, though. Maybe it's just that it's only 1 cell difficulty. But I'm taking surprisingly little damage despite having, you know, 2 times damage taken. Too bad you can't get that health, Too bad you can't get the, health... 1 HP healed for every hit you do effects on ranged weapons, because that would be ideal for here, considering how much you can hit with this. And how easy it is to sort of cheese out enemies. Although, you know, I suppose the entire idea of being able to... Get over here. The entire idea of being able to cheese out enemies by standing on a different... by standing above or below them and shooting them with a lightning bolt or lightning whip here, it doesn't really work as well now that you have the homunculus rune, so you can just, you know, homunculus rune. Seems like that would be the better option in most cases. Really, I don't even need to do that. Probably could have just skipped that animation, got right into the sepulcher. As of right now, though, 12 minutes in, not too bad at all. No, like I said, I think the real test is going to be when I get to the castle. And I am seriously considering just keeping 2 times damage here. I mean, it's getting me nearly 10,000 damage per second when I get the crit going, so I don't know. I also managed to grab a necklace back there, which will be the one small amount of damage reduction I'm going to be able to get in this run. Even though it's only 10%? What? It's really that small? Ugh. Well, look, if it starts to get hairy in any way, I can easily just go switch out my... or use my heart. And then switch out the affix on it after I get to the end of the biome. That's the plan here. Ugh. You know, I do think that of the various runs that you can do, as far as single weapon runs go, the one that probably works the best is anything that scales with survival. Even though survival tends not to work too well on its own, I feel like I got enough experience here to be able to make it work, at least for the most part, while also having enough damage that battles don't take a million years, or conversely, I get killed immediately every single time I try to do anything. Because I think the last one that I made a real attempt with was, what, the Spiteful Sword? Sort of a bungled run there. Just hit the light. Good. Yeah, and Spiteful Sword... well, I suppose it was also kind of because I was going for a huge amount of rally, too, which maybe sort of led to my downfall a bit. Lame. But I just wasn't doing as much as I wanted to in the castle. But the other one that I attempted, the Nerves of Steel, went just fine. Finished that one on my first go. Absolutely no issue to do that at all. In fact, that might be... if I get no suggestions, I'm thinking Aura of Laceration, or finally talking a little bit more about Nerves of Steel, because that's a weapon that I always thought was pretty good, and now is triple S tier amazing. Well, provided that you can hit the criticals. So I would like to do a run with that. Okay. Well, even without the critical... sure. An extra 10%, probably a little bit more health than I would be getting with survival building at this point. Uh-oh. Oh, that lead time for hitting is not doing me any favors. Ah, come on. Just get into the light here. Okay. Oh, Legendary Torch. That would actually be a... I'll take that instead. Legendary Torch would actually be an amazing pickup here. Could do a lot of damage with that. Especially because I've been building survival. Could easily get a bear trap. I mean, that was how I beat the low percent 4-cell run. You know, when I didn't even have any forge upgrades unlocked. That's how good it was. But not the run you're doing today. Should be fine. Happen to have another upgrade for me here? No. Still no. Alright, fine. That's fine. Really, I don't need another upgrade because I'm really liking the 2x damage, but hey, what if I get a second one that's 2x damage? The questions that keep me awake at night. One-shot shockers with this. But yeah, you could see the real issue there. Suddenly when I had a whole bunch of enemies on me, it became... you had to do some very tricky planning out, trying to figure out how to actually get your weapon to work without getting hit constantly. Okay. And that, I think, is kind of the downfall of this weapon, at least on later game difficulties, when you have a whole lot more enemies and a whole lot more trackers everywhere, too, doing a lot of damage to you. Just becomes not as... Yeah, another torch. Just becomes too hard. Too hard to use slower weapons. Alright, what am I looking at now? 21 survival, that is not bad at all. I'm up to almost 20,000 for 20,000 damage per second for critical hits on the lightning bolt here. That is not bad at all, but again, does really compromise my defense, which I think is going to not be too big of a deal here, be the biggest of deals when I get to the castle. But hey, this being only one cell difficulty, I should at least have a... Nope. Should at least have a single, there we are. Potion refill before I get down there. That might be bad. But it wasn't that bad at all. Not even gonna bother with the dual tracker fight. I mean, it would be probably pretty easy to do, but I'm making decent time here. I'm gonna see what I can do insofar as getting to the end quick. Never really been one for true speed running, but that doesn't mean that I don't want to play the game a little bit with expediency if given the chance. Of course, the castle is always the thing that trips me up. If I ever was doing speedrunning for real, if I ever really attempted that, I think that just getting to the castle would end every single one of my runs. And not even because I died there, but because I would... Okay. I'm gonna try to get the critical. Okay. Because I get lost all the time, because I can't find the keys, because I can't find the exit, all that sort of stuff. Cool. Because this last phase should be a lot of opportunity to get me... Well, should have been. Bungled with something fierce. Alright, come on. Calling shenanigans on this run right now. Cool. Less cool. No. Come on. I got this, I got this. It's just being... Yeah, fast-moving enemies. I knew that was going to be an issue. Now make sure you don't accidentally pick up a legendary weapon. I mean, the fact that she can also teleport every which way but loose does not help me either. Yeah, now the fact that you get knocked out of... The fact that you get knocked out of using the lightning bolt is something that does really hinder its usefulness, too. Now, of course, that's something with pretty much every single survival weapon, where if you can't be fast enough, you're just going to be stuck there starting up the swing on the symmetrical lance, and then it's never going to actually go anywhere. Give the king statue a little taste of unlimited power. Can't duck while doing that. Something I've never actually tried, but I now have confirmed that you cannot duck while shooting a lightning bolt. Alright, come on. It's not going too bad so far, but again, that's mostly due to 2 times damage. Rally isn't doing as good for me as I was expecting it to. I was kind of hoping that I would get a whole ton of health refilled from that alone, but the problem is that I can't get my weapon up and usable before my health starts going down. Come on, get over here. Can I hit through his stuff? Yes. Okay. Because usually spinning... Cool. Because usually spinning, like the Guardian Knights do there, deflects arrows. So I didn't know if it was also going to deflect lightning because, I don't know, maybe that's a thing. Have you ever tried to deflect lightning? I thought not. Also been playing Dungreed a whole lot lately where, oh no! Cool. I've also been playing Dungreed a whole lot lately where you can do stuff like deflect laser beams, like gigantic laser beams 5 times the size of your character, and just have them suddenly facing the wrong direction. So I don't know. You never know in this crazy mixed up world of ours. Getting a little bit of usage out of electricity and water, something that sadly does not come up as often as I would like it to. Who knows, maybe the DLC. Man, I still cannot believe that we do not know what's in that giant door at the beginning. People have speculated that it's going to be the door that leads to the DLC, and I guess that makes sense because, you know, DLC is kind of a weird thing in these sorts of games, the roguelite sort of thing where, well, that sucks. The roguelite sort of style here because how do you unlock extra content like that? In-game, you know, like an extra area or something to go to. People gonna be mad, though, if you mess up their routes and everything like that. That said, this is definitely a great area for the lightning bolt. Usually I don't like doing the dual tracker fight, but if you can just freeze them in place like that, I mean, it becomes pretty trivial, doesn't it? Excuse me? Yeah, as per usual, when you're using survival weaponry, one of the best ways to get them, best ways to use a survival weapon is to, is to queue up the animation, the wind-up time while you're in the air. Just do it while you're jumping, because then by the time you hit the ground, you're actually firing. And that's usually the only point in time when enemies actually notice you. No? Okay. Yeah, I suppose something that I haven't actually been mentioning as I've been doing this is the fact that you can turn around very quickly is helpful, but I wouldn't really say in any way necessary to making this weapon good. It's just a little bonus thing. It's like, oh, hey, that's kind of a cool thing. Excuse me. Much like the, is it called Inferno Blast now? Used to be called Fire Torrent. Oh no! This is... I keep grabbing the ledge! Oh no! Well, looks like I'm gonna have not too much for potion charges going into the final fight, but hey, I'm getting into the final fight! That's cool! That means that I'm at least making some progress. Alright. Yeah, the biggest issue when it comes to doing these runs is the fact that you don't get a final potion refill. Back before they changed potions, I would have been able to do that, but nope, not at this point. That's really the most frustrating thing about doing higher cell difficulties, the fact that you don't get the potion charges, but hey, it's part of the game. I can understand them, especially how useful... Well, there's a little bit of that rally that I was looking at. Oh, and good, he's already in his next phase. Ah. You'll excuse me? Oof, going full-on concentration mode here. Gotta watch out there. Don't want to... Oh, yeah. I didn't want to do the... I didn't want to do the stomp there, but it was just instinctual. I could not stop. Oh no, this is the worst. This is the worst. Oh, those guys can be so rough. You can see, though, it's like... Even at 1 cell difficulty, this dude is putting up a fight. Nice. Ha! I'll take that ending. That's a good ending. Alright, so final verdict on Lightning Bolt. It's alright. At least on low cell difficulties.